Isabel Hilton is the founder of the organisation China Dialogue. Isabel, welcome back. Good to see you. What's the significance of Wang Yi's visit to Africa?
Well, we're reminded every year at the beginning of the year of the value that China places on the Africa relationship, because this is now a 35-year tradition that the first trip the foreign minister makes is to Africa. And you know, of course, symbolism is important in diplomacy, but this is a mark of respect. It's a mark of commitment, of long-term commitment, and it stands for, if you like, all the investment and trade relationships that China has with Africa, which come under regular review, regular discussion, and China is always seeking to develop them.
Many countries have deep footsteps in Africa. Is China's approach to Africa different from that of the United States, the EU and other Western countries?
Well, I think historically, obviously, it's different. I mean, the distinction that China would make is that historically it wasn't a colonial power in Africa. Today, I'm not sure there's such a big distinction, although there clearly is a big difference in scale. The EU has its own Global Gateway Programme, which is a development programme for Africa, much smaller than China's investment. And of course, the nature of China's investment continues to evolve. We're not seeing quite as many big infrastructure projects as we did at the beginning of the Belt and Road Initiative, but we're seeing an increased importance, for example, on Africa as a supply chain, a strategic supply chain partner in terms of minerals, particularly strategic minerals, and particularly those which are involved in the low carbon transition. So I think that if you look at the scale of China's operations in Africa, that's the key difference between the US and indeed the European Union.
Namibia, Congo, Chad, Nigeria. What are the reasons for selecting these particular countries, and what might those countries expect to gain from China?
Well, they all have, you know, their particular relationships. Nigeria is a very important influence in West Africa and an important influence within the African Union. So enhanced cooperation with Nigeria would be good for promoting China's interests across the continent. There's a big energy relationship with Nigeria and indeed with Chad, important bilateral trade relationships. So, you know, these countries, the visit traditionally picks different countries every year. Congo is also, I believe, chairing FOCAC this year, and this is an anniversary year for FOCAC, the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation, which is a big and important part of this relationship. And I think that we would perhaps expect some advance on the proposal that Xi Jinping made at the last FOCAC summit last year, that the relationships with African countries be upgraded to strategic relationships. So I think we'd probably see some progress on that.
Isabel, good to see you. Thank you for that. Isabel Hilton, the founder of the organisation China Dialogue.